Today's episode is brought to you by Canby Foursquare Church. Since 1978, a place to grow, connect, and serve. In-person services are back with some restrictions to help ensure everyone stays safe and healthy. For the latest, visit their website at canbyfoursquare.com.
Welcome to Now Hear This Canby,
your source for news.
The threat of a possible teacher strike was avoided this week.
There's a new, irresistibly cute creature winning over fans, and its name is Scootaloo.
Sports?
It's like Lucy in the football. You want to kick a field goal, but they take it away from you.
We had to learn how to win.
Goal can't be in the last second of the game! And interesting conversations.
Because I'm one of the strongest girls ever, and I know that for a fact.
I just really enjoy writing gossip as if I was a bear.
With an old maid daughter that make the best moonshine in the coast.
And if it would have hit me in the face, I think I would have died. I really do.
I guarantee you would have died, man. Are you kidding me?
President Joe Biden made waves by announcing in his first primetime address to the nation Thursday night that the United States would have enough doses of the COVID-19 vaccine to immunize all adults by May 1st. But Governor Kate Brown, who announced just 2 weeks ago that her state would not reach that threshold of vaccine supply until July 1st, a full 2 months behind the nation's schedule, was unmoved for now. Our plan in Oregon has always been to align our vaccination timelines with available federal supplies, Brown said in prepared remarks Friday, the day after the president's speech. As weekly shipment allocations increase, we will reassess those timelines, she said. If the doses are there, I have every intention of utilizing all available state and federal resources to match the president's timeline for universal eligibility. Though increasing supplies of new doses would accelerate distribution, Brown said the state's prioritization, which places the most vulnerable, aging adults, frontline workers, and others at the front of the line. Brown said the state is working hard to ramp up the vaccine rollout. Still, the gulf between the state's outlook for vaccine availability and the nation's rosier picture is vast. In his address, Biden had floated the tantalizing picture of a return to some normalcy, with backyard gatherings and barbecues with friends by July 4th. But unless Oregon's timeline is moved up considerably, that would be just 4 days after vaccine eligibility is expanded to all adults in the state. I know we are all hopeful we can safely be reunited with our family and friends for small gatherings by the 4th of July, Brown promised. As governor, I will do everything I can to make that happen. At a press conference Friday, the governor cited the state's progress in returning more than 170,000 students to some in-person learning. Oregon is also investing $250 million to expand summer learning and childcare opportunities, and is expecting, quote, significant funding from the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan that was also signed into federal law this week, which will go toward struggling families, small businesses, homeowners, renters, the unemployed, and local governments. But we are most definitely not out of the woods just yet, Brown noted. With the discovery of new COVID-19 mutations, including one believed to have occurred spontaneously here in Oregon, it is clear that this virus is capable of evolving. It's alarming and an important reminder that we must still keep our guard up, she said. Let's use this moment to keep making smart choices, keep wearing your mask, continue to physical distance, no large gatherings just yet, and get the vaccine, any one of the three, when it's made available to you, the governor said. At least one aspect of pre-COVID life in Canby is set to come back this summer, with the Canby Livability Coalition announcing this week that the popular Slice of Summer concert series will return to Waite Park in August. Slice of Summer will feature 2 concerts this year instead of the usual 4, on August 15th and August 29th, with the acts yet to be revealed. The board of directors met on Monday to discuss Slice's future and voted to move forward with a scaled-down version of the beloved community concert series, about 10 months after canceling 2020 shows due to the onset of the pandemic. "I'm excited just to get back some normalcy," said board chair Lisa Lair, also the administrator of the community Facebook group Canby Now. "And seeing the community out enjoying a summer evening, chatting with neighbors, singing and dancing, I love it when people get up and dance," Lair said. A Canby tradition since 1985, the series ran out of gas in 2017 when the Canby Music Boosters, which had previously organized the shows, was no longer available to run the event. Fortunately, Canby decided one summer without Slice was enough, and a new group of volunteers, led by Lair, stepped forward to revive the series under the umbrella of the nonprofit Livability Coalition. The concerts feature local and regional acts and typically draw hundreds of music lovers to downtown Canby, along with food trucks and shaved ice. Now, thanks to the coronavirus, another Sliceless summer is in the books. Lair said she believes the community is ready for a cautious return to tunes and boogieing. "I think so, although I've been wrong before," she said with a laugh. "I think people just want their lives back. People are sick of staying home and just want to do things they used to do." As one of the first music events in Oregon to confirm its return this year, finding talent was not a challenge this year, Laird noted. "It wasn't hard," she said. "We let the bands that we canceled on last year have first dibs, and they jumped at the offer. I'm just sorry we can't have all 4, but we felt that would be too much this year." What the state's coronavirus guidelines will look like in August is anyone's guess, but it appears to be a safe bet that things will loosen up considerably, with vaccination rates rising steadily and new cases already on the decline. Public health officials say the vaccine will be available to all Oregonians who choose to take it by early summer, and many Canby residents do seem eager to take their shot to hasten the return of normalcy. But after living through the pandemic, the devastating wildfires of last September, and the recent historic ice storm, Lair has learned the lesson of being flexible. "Things can change at any moment, and we might have to cancel again," Lair said. "I sure hope not, but I'm not going to hold my breath." For photos and the latest news on local events, visit canbyfirst.com. Canby Public Works crews have disposed of an estimated 83,000 cubic yards of debris from the historic President's Day weekend ice storms last month. That's enough to fill more than 25 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Even more remarkably, it has taken less than a month for city staff to process an amount of material that, if set end to end, would stretch over 47 miles, enough to get to downtown Portland and back. City Administrator Scott Archer tells Now Hear This Canby that figure includes material that community members dumped at temporary drop sites that were set up throughout the city, as well as debris that crews collected at public parks, facilities, and rights-of-way. Archer says the debris was processed through chipping and burning at the city's maintenance shops on Northeast Territorial Road, though the city has ceased burning as of today, Thursday. The chip debris has been repurposed for various uses, Archer says, and when fully safe, the ash from the burn pile will be repurposed for local agricultural uses. Throughout the extended cleanup process, the city received substantial support from Cahoot Waste Services, Canby Disposal, Care Contractors, Canby Excavating, and Extreme Excavating, which all volunteered equipment, tools, staff, and other resources to aid in removing and processing debris. These community partners donated much of their time and equipment, Archer says. Additionally, the Canby Fire District team provided volunteer support in helping the city clean debris in various locations, including the Canby Adult Center, Timber Park, and the city walking path, he said. Archer says the city's burning was done under the guidance and permission of the Canby Fire District, which loosened its burning regulations last month because of the need to eliminate material that could present a fire hazard this summer if it's left unaddressed. The city did receive a few inquiries from residents in Northeast Canby near the city shops, but Archer says most were understanding once staff explained, quote, our need to remove the debris in this manner. The city appreciates the community's understanding regarding our need to do this under the extraordinary circumstances created by the unprecedented storm and amount of debris, Archer says. The sun, it did shine. It was not too wet to play. The weather turned fine just in time for Dr. Seuss's birthday. And despite COVID-19 and controversies, many a great booktastic tradition continued in the grand town of Canby. Read Across America has been a Canby tradition for decades, hosted by the Kiwanis Club of Canby, Canby Public Library, and Cutsforth's Market. This year's iteration was always going to be a bit of a challenge due to the continuing pandemic, but a new wrinkle emerged just as the event was set to get underway Saturday, a day chosen to coincide with National Read Across America Day on March 2nd, the birthday of Theodore Geisel, better known as Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss Enterprises, which is the business that preserves and protects the beloved author's legacy, also chose March 2nd to announce it would stop publishing 6 titles because of imagery deemed racially insensitive, including If I Ran the Zoo, McElligot's Pool, and To Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. The move to cease publication of the book soon became a battleground in the nation's ongoing culture wars, because of course it did, with conservative commentators calling it yet another example of liberal cancel culture, though Dr. Seuss Enterprises made the decision on its own after months of discussion with the author's family, as well as educators and academics. To say the least, it made for an interesting backdrop Saturday, as a team of volunteers, having already made plans and purchasing decor and giveaway items, got ready to stage Canby's Read Across America Day as a drive-through event in the parking lot of Caldera International's offices in the former Parsons building. Our goal was simply to promote a love of reading, something we can all agree on, said longtime Kiwanis member Luana Hill. The community responded with a steady stream of traffic throughout the day until volunteers finally ran out of treats and activity packets and nearly ran out of books around 2 p.m. Hill thanked the library and the Cutsforth family for their dedicated support of the event. Pre-pandemic, it was traditionally hosted in the Old Town Hall Event Center above Thriftway. The library donated books, and children's librarian Peggy Wickwire took part in the event Saturday. The Book Nook, Canby's independent bookseller, which recently completed its move to the other side of the Parsons building, set up its life-size Cat in the Hat to join in the fun. Kiwanians added more books to the giveaway pile, including some bilingual choices, along with stickers, pencils, and activity sheets assembled by Bob Hill. A fun group of volunteers enjoyed giving out books, Luana Hill said. Mary Ashton and Doris Robertson organized the books by age and reading level, and Luana Hill handled decorations and giveaways. Now Hear This Sports is brought to you by Reif and Hunsaker, PC. When you need an attorney, turn to the firm Canby has trusted for over 50 years. Call them today at 503-266-3456. In Canby's long-awaited debut in 5A football, the Cougs, 1-1, performed, well, about as well as you could possibly hope for a team temporarily playing down a classification. The Canby football team accepted the OSAA's offer to move from 6A to 5A for at least 2 seasons in December 2019, after the once mighty program endured a 4-23 record over a 3-year period, including a winless campaign in 2018 that was its first since 1975. Friday was the Cougars' second game of the COVID-shortened season, but their debut last week was a non-league tilt against perennial 6A powerhouse Clackamas. And though Canby lost that game 32-15, the contest was more competitive than the final score might suggest, which makes the Cougs' 48-0 thrashing of their first true 5A opponent, the Hillsborough Spartans, 1-1, not entirely unexpected. After a sluggish showing by the Cougar offense against Clackamas, taking only 11 snaps in the second half and making only a single trip into the end zone, the offensive machine roared to life at Harefield Friday night, led by junior quarterback Mikey Gibson, who threw for 4 touchdowns, and senior receiver Chance Miller, who caught 2 of them. The dynamic Miller, who is verbally committed to play for the Division I Air Force Academy next year, actually made 3 trips to the end zone at Harefield. He was the first to put Cougar points on the board, taking a punt return all the way to the house barely 2 minutes into the first quarter. It was the second game in a row in which Miller scored on a kick return in the first frame of the contest. While his speed and agility are obvious, his stamina and conditioning are perhaps even more impressive. Though it's not uncommon for high school football stars to play roles on both offense and defense, Miller also plays both sides of special teams, even serving as the Cougars' kicker. Another big storyline was senior wide receiver Caden Boyd's breakout performance. He caught Gibson's other 2 touchdown passes, including a 63-yard bomb on a 2nd and 23 that put the Cougs up 41-0 in the third quarter. Workhorse running back Tyler Mead, also a senior, punched in his second rushing touchdown of the season on a 4th and 1 from the 3-yard line early in the second quarter, while Valdro put the finishing touches on the Cougs' offensive masterpiece, earning his first points of 2021 with some fancy footwork late in the third. Valdro's 60-yard scramble was Canby's 5th scoring play of the night that went 50 yards or more. Canby's non-league matchup against Sandy Monday, which was planned as an underclassmen-only outing, has been canceled, so their next action will be Friday, March 19th against 5A St. Helens, 0-1, at home. In other news, Canby Volleyball is on a tear. Their only loss so far in this COVID-shortened season was a tight back-and-forth with perennial Three Rivers League powerhouse West Lynn Tuesday at home. They currently sit at 3-1. Upcoming action includes 2 league matchups on the road this week at Lake Ridge Tuesday, followed by a crosstown grudge match against Oregon City on Friday. Canby girls soccer has bounced back after a disappointing season-opening loss to Sherwood. They beat Newburgh at home 3-1 on senior night, then tied Tigard on the road 1-1. They'll host St. Mary's Academy Monday, then head to Pioneer Memorial Stadium Wednesday for a league contest with Oregon City. Canby boys soccer has had a rougher start so far, dropping non-league matchups to Gresham and Newburgh, as well as their first league contest with Tigard Wednesday. The Cougs have been shut out so far in each game with scores of 7-0, 2-0, and 6-0. Ouch. But still plenty of chances to turn things around as they face Barlow on the road Monday and then host Oregon City on Wednesday at Cougar Stadium. Finally, cross country headed to Tualatin Wednesday for a meet with Tigard and St. Mary's Academy. Canby's Tommy O'Neill placed the Cougars with a third-place showing in the 5,000-meter varsity, with Joel Ibarra, Maddox Oliver, Matthew Dewar, and Jared Moon rounding out the top 10.
Stay connected to what matters most this winter with unlimited high-speed internet from DirectLink. While things may look a little different this year, as we all work together to keep everyone as safe and healthy as possible, you can be confident that DirectLink's reliable network will keep your video calls, Snapchats, stories, and photos crystal clear and at your fingertips whenever you need them. In 2021, DirectLink is thankful for all of their amazing members and is proud to be your local internet, video, and voice provider for over 116 years. Joining us on the Canby Conversation today is Chance Miller. He's a senior at Canby High School and a standout wide receiver, defensive back, and really just do everything specialist for the Canby High School football team, among other athletics. Hi, Chance.
Hi.
Hi, man. So we're recording this on Saturday. We were hoping to try to do it on Sunday, give you a couple of days after the game, because you mentioned you tend to be a little wiped out, and that's not a surprise because you play every down of the Canby High School football games, man. How do you do that?
I mean, it's just preparation. I mean, conditioning and practice, always going hard in practice. And like our coaches preach whatever, like if you make practice harder than the games, then the games become easy to you. So, I mean, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, that's a cool motivation. But yeah, I mean, you are obviously known as a wide receiver. You make big plays on offense. You play defense as well, and special teams. You've the first 2 weeks of the shortened season this year, you've scored a kick return and a punt return in each of the 2 games. So you're also returning kicks. How did that kind of come about? Because that's not necessarily typical in high school. A lot of players do play both sides, offense and defense, but to also be the kicker and the kick returner.
how did that kind of come about? You guys, as far as the team and the coaches, and just kind of feeling like not only are you the best person in all of these spots, but that you can handle that much, that you can basically never leave the field of the games.
Yeah, I mean, I played soccer like throughout my childhood, so like I've always kicked and stuff like that. And just in youth, I was a kicker. And I mean, like we don't really got that many people, so like, but there's a lot of people like on the team that are playing like everywhere, special teams, both sides, that don't come out as well, like other than me. And I mean, our coach, especially Coach Slaughter, he preaches like special teams. If we can win that third of the ball, like we're winning part of the game. So I mean, we just take advantage of that and put the people that are best at that spot. So
Yeah, awesome. Chance, can you tell us a little bit about your history with athletics? You kind of mentioned it there. Did it all start with soccer? Have you always liked soccer the most, or did football come about later and now that's your favorite, or do you have an athletic family? Just tell us a little bit about how you got into sports here in town.
Actually, I was born like into BMX racing, bike.
I see on the Zoom screen you got a bike
Yeah.
hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, BMX bike.
Yeah, I was born in Alaska, and my parents owned a BMX track up in Alaska. It's like as a kid, I was like 3 years old out there riding the track and stuff like that. And
Wow.
then we moved to Oregon, and I played soccer in Oregon, down in Albany. And then once I came to Canby, like it was just all football and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like I was pretty fast, so I mean, like a couple coaches came and talked to me, wanted to play football, and I just love football since. So
Yeah, totally. I can see it. I can see a Canby football coach doing that. Like, that kid's fast. He needs to play for us.
yeah.
When did you move from Alaska?
When I was 5 years old.
Okay, so you probably don't remember it too well, or
No, not too much.
but you've still been doing BMX out here. Obviously, you've got your bike hanging up there. Or is that just a decoration now?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, I try to ride a little bit, but not, it's just like the risk reward type of thing. Like I love riding my bike, but at the same time, like I don't want to risk getting hurt and stuff like that for football. So
Right. And you do basketball as well, right? You're a three-sport guy? Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's obviously been elephant in the room, been a difficult year for student athletes such as yourself, students in general, I should say. What has been your motivation through everything that's been going on with the pandemic, not knowing if you would have a season? What did your kind of day-to-day look like? Were you able to still kind of find motivation to stay in shape and do, kind of do that prep work in the hopes that there would be a season here for your senior year? And what did that kind of look like? What motivated you?
I mean, it's really just scheduling and time management and just writing stuff down like that I really wanted to get done, and looking forward to something. I mean, it's hard to look forward to something that you don't really know is going to happen, but you just kind of have to set a date and time like you think it's going to happen and strive for that. So
Yeah. Did you find that challenging? Were there times you just couldn't? I mean, I'm not an athlete, but there are definitely some days where I'm like, I'm not leaving this couch. Like everything's just a bummer. Everything's getting canceled, especially last summer and whatnot. Did you find that a challenge, or were you able to stay pretty resilient throughout?
I mean, yeah, it's just, I mean, like getting out of bed, especially just getting out of bed is tough and stuff like that when you don't really have like anything to look forward to. So, I mean, you set a goal or whatever, and then, I mean, you set like a schedule and you just stick to it until you're ready. I mean, usually you have like a season to work up to. So like you want to get at a certain point, but I mean, it's just kind of random. So you just keep progressing until that point. So.
Yeah. Did you find family were helpful in motivating you, or friends, teammates, coaches, things like that?
Yeah, I got like, I mean, I would get like the field sometimes whenever it's open. I would get as many people as I can out there. And then I just got a little group of friends that I work out with that live in the neighborhood. So that come over and live with me and everything.
Yeah. Well, you're obviously known for, as you mentioned, your speed, your conditioning, your big plays. Are there certain what's kind of your training regimen look like? What's your prep work look like? Do you have certain Super Mario mushrooms that you eat or something that give you super speed, or what kind of stuff do you do? Is it your own thing? Is it something your coaches help you develop?
My coach just kind of sent me a program. It's a 6-day-a-week lifting program, and it's just push, pull, and legs. So upper legs, upper, and I do that 6 days of the week, and then just try to get out on the field and like do some footwork, speed type of stuff, because I mean, I don't want to lift too much and just not be running. I mean, that'll just make me slower. So I mean, a lot of just footwork, speed, and ball drills and stuff like that. So
Right, it's a balance. You don't want big, heavy, muscly arms slowing you down when you're trying to return a kick, right?
hmm
What's your mindset like? What kind of goes through your head where you're set back to receive a kick or a punt, or you've got a a toss play and you're hoping for a big gain from quarterback Mikey Gibson? Are you sort of in the zone, or do you have certain things going through your head that you remember?
Yeah, I mean, kickoffs and punts and stuff like that. Like I just tell myself like I'm not gonna go down, but if like I am, it's gonna take like 5 or 6 people. I mean, you just have to have that mindset, like that if I'm gonna go down, it's not gonna be by one person. But so
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, they have to catch you first. You get
yeah.
you're really good with the agility as well and kind of dodging those tackles. It's really cool, really fun to watch. So we're recording this on Saturday. Last night, you guys had a great game against Hillsborough. What was that like? Was that fun to kind of stretch your legs for really the first time in a really long time offensively?
Yeah, I mean, Clackamas, we struggled a little bit offensively, and I think this game kind of just showed like we got into a little bit of flow. Well, not a little bit, a big flow, and it just showed like what we can do and everything like that. And I mean, like I wouldn't say it. I'd probably say the best feeling I've had in a game was the Oregon City game last year, but this definitely felt pretty good. So
Yeah, that Oregon City game was really special. You guys broke that really tough 22 game losing streak. It was the first win. It was kind of, you'd come so close in some games that season, and I know you guys were just feeling like we're better than this record shows. We're better than what has kind of seen. And finally against Oregon City, it all broke through, and that was really great to watch.
yeah.
Last night you scored 3 touchdowns, 1 on a punt return, 2 on catches with big gains from receiving. How do you feel when you score like that, especially after all the adversity? Does it feel good, or do you sort of have like a this is business? We're here, kind of professional or whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously feels good and everything, but at the same time, you want to show like sportsmanship in class and stuff like that. So I mean, I celebrate with my teammates and just try to make it, I mean, classy and stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I also wanted to ask you about your senior. So next year, you've committed to play for Air Force and to attend the Air Force Academy and to go into the Air Force. Tell me about that decision.
yeah, I mean, with all this stuff going on and stuff like that, I just like they right after my junior year, they called me and stuff like that and offered, and like I wasn't really thinking like any of this stuff would go on, and it all came at me pretty fast and everything like that. So I mean, it's a really secure opportunity. It's a great opportunity to go play at the Air Force and I mean to serve. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have a military background with your family?
not really. My grandpa, I think he served a little bit and he has some background, but not really.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we and I really appreciate your decision to serve in our nation's military. Thank you for that, and really look forward to seeing what you do in Division I. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
All right, Chance, last question, man. What are your thoughts on these next few months with the rest of the football season? Are you going to do some other sports with the season 2, season 3? Are you pretty much calling it a day with football and kind of focusing on school and finishing up the academically?
No, I think I'm gonna try to run track and field. If not, maybe not compete, but just do like the practices and training and stuff like that just to get faster. And then I'll be playing basketball this year. So
Okay, awesome.
as well.
What do you think the Cougars' record is going to be for
In
football?
basketball? Oh,
Football.
for football.
Yeah, let's hear some predictions.
Honestly, I feel like we could win out the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I really felt I agree with you, man. I really felt watching the first game against Clackamas, which is, you guys are playing down this year, but that first game ended up being against a 6A team and really a 6A powerhouse. And if you didn't watch the game and you just saw the score, you wouldn't necessarily get the sense of how competitive it was and how well you guys competed against a really tough 6A team. So then moving down to 5A, I just had a feeling that you guys were going to dominate, and we'll see. Who knows what could happen in a football season? But that first game, Hillsborough, to me, felt like a little vindication for my own prediction. I think you guys will do well this year. But At any rate, I know you guys will compete well. And as you mentioned, that's awesome. That kind of good sportsmanship that you'll continue to treat your opponents regardless of what the outcomes will be. Chance, thank you so much for taking time out to talk to us. And we wish you the very best with basketball, track and field, and obviously the rest of the football season and your academic career.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Joining us now is Donna Ellison of Ellison Team Homes, a firm serving all across the Portland metro area with 3 realtors based right here in Canby. Donna, can you tell us how Ellison Team Homes started?
I started in real estate. I grew up with my dad. He was a realtor. So I'm a second generation broker, and I grew up with him on weekends. And I learned a lot, eventually working with him for several years and then going out on my own. Our family moved to Canby a couple of years ago, but we really didn't know how it was going to go. And within the first probably 3 months of being here, we literally fell head over heels in love with this place. We love the community, the spirit here. The first Christmas at Waite Park, I was literally crying because everybody was walking around saying Merry Christmas and people were drinking hot chocolate, and we got in a carriage ride with the horse, and it was just too much. You just realize it's special here. Real estate's always been my passion. It is my professional love. I enjoy the people, the relationships. So much comes out of kind of the intensity that you spend with people. You're really up in their business for a period of time, and sometimes it's a couple months, sometimes it's a couple years, sometimes it's a lifetime. I feel very blessed at this point to have people that have been with me for almost my entire career. Clients that have bought and sold maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 homes. I have one client that's bought and sold 8 homes with me. 3 generations. It's a beautiful business. It makes for a very full life.
How can people find you?
How can they not, really? We have a website, www.ellisonteamhomes.com.
Well, thank you, Donna.
Thank you for having me.
And finally, on this episode, we conclude with Canby Then, which is brought to you by Retro Revival. They are not your average antique shop. Open daily, you can find them on the corner of Northwest 3rd and Grant in downtown Canby, or connect with them through email at retrorevivalOC@gmail.com. If you're a longtime listener of our history series, you know the city was originally known as Baker Prairie, probably named after James Baker, one of the area's earliest pioneers. What you might not know is that Jim Baker was also one of the most colorful figures in the old frontier West. Also known as Big Jim and Honest Jim, he was a frontiersman, trapper, hunter, fur trader, explorer, army scout, interpreter, soldier, territorial militia officer, rancher, mine owner, toll keeper, and a mountain man who married not just one Native American bride, but perhaps as many as 20. Eat your hearts out, sister wives. He was born in Belleville, Illinois in 1808, though there were contemporary sources, however, that stated how Baker himself was not quite sure of his exact birth date or whether it was in the year 1808 or 1809. However, his childhood was documented, with his parents describing themselves as poor. Baker was one of many children in the family, and from an early age he excelled in fishing, and he also hunted squirrels, muskrats, and other small game using a gun. When he was 17, his father sent him to his grandfather in St. Louis for his education, but he was sent home after showing little interest in the instruction. During this journey, he met a capper who told him tales of adventure on the frontier. The young Baker needed no other encouragement. He went promptly to the offices of the American Fur Company and joined his first trapping expedition. It was as a fur trapper that he met the legendary Jim Bridger and Kit Carson, 2 larger-than-life figures who, sadly, never lived in Canby. But Big Jim Baker did. He settled here in the early 1830s and operated a huge ranch and farm on the rich lands that now form North Canby. He stayed until at least 1838, but the date that he left the area isn't known for sure. The records aren't exactly ironclad. What is certain is that Baker eventually tired of farming and left, selling his interest in the farm business to a man named W.C. Dement. He joined up with a large party headed for the annual Trapper Rendezvous in the Wyoming mountains, and from then on he would have had many adventures and exploits in the fur business. On May 25, 1839, he traveled up the Missouri to Kansas City on a steamer known as the St. Peter, eventually traveling to Grand Island on the Platte River, reaching the Laramie Plains. They continued down the Medicine Bow and Laramie Rivers to the Sweetwater River, crossing South Pass to arrive at Fort Bonneville. For at least a couple of years, Baker hunted and trapped in the Wind River Mountains with the legendary mountain man Jim Bridger. When spring broke in 1840, he returned home to Illinois. But by the following, Baker had set out again on his second journey to the Rocky Mountains, traveling back across the Laramie Plains, over South Pass, down the Green River, to Bridger's camp at the Henry's Fork. Bridger, who was worried about his associate Henry Frabe, sent Baker and others to search for the lost party who had been trapping at the base of the Squaw Mountain on the banks of the Little Snake River. In August 1841, Baker was involved in a violent clash at the junction of Battle Creek and the Snake River, when Baker's group of 35 trappers encountered a group of Sioux, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors. Frabe died early on in the fight, leaving Baker to take charge. This battle led to the Bastion Mountain being renamed Battle Mountain. After the warriors retreated on August 27th, the trappers departed from Battle Mountain and returned to Bridger's camp. Baker would go on to become a highly regarded U.S. Army scout and Indian interpreter for Generals John C. Fremont, William S. Harney, Albert Sidney Johnston, and George Armstrong Custer, thanks to his fluency in the Shoshone language and the use of the Arapaho Sign Language, as well as his knowledge of the rivers, trails, and mountains, all of which he'd picked up in the fur trade. In 1859, Baker took up a homestead near Denver, 3 miles north on Clear Creek. In 1864, he built a adobe brick building at what is now 53rd and Tennyson Streets, just west of the campus of Regis University. He built a toll bridge and owned the first coal mine in Colorado, where Riss is now, 18 miles west of Denver. In the same year, Baker was appointed a captain of the Colorado Militia along with John Chivington, who later led the Colorado Territorial Forces in the infamous Sand Creek Massacre. He would eventually ramble his way to a ranch near Savory, Wyoming, where he built a cabin from cottonwood trees with his 3 daughters, Isabel, Madeline, and Jenny. It was there that he became a beloved member of the community and picked up the nickname Honest Jim. His cabin had 3 stories. On the top one was built a watchtower, but as the likelihood of conflict with Native Americans had been greatly reduced, the 3rd floor was eventually taken down. But conflict would still find him, as it turned out. Baker was an old man in 1875 when he was asked to serve under General Custer as a scout during the Battle of Rosebud in the Black Hills. In 1881, he was asked to scout in another battle, the Meeker Massacre, led by General Thornburg. On May 15th, 1898, Baker died in his cabin on Carbon County, Wyoming. His body was buried in a small cemetery overlooking the Little Snake River Valley. A few years later, the Baker cabin was removed from Savory and taken to Frontier Park in Cheyenne, Wyoming. But in July 1976, the home of Jim Baker was returned to Savory, where it was incorporated into the Little Snake River Museum. The cabin was reconstructed under the direction of Jim Baker's great-grandson, Paul McAllister, who still lives in Dixon, Wyoming. And that does it for this episode. I'm James Walton. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, Frankie, you okay? You seem kind of down.
Yeah, I'm just bummed. Miss going to the Wild Hare. I know you can still get takeout and all, but it's just not the same.
You know they're open again, right?
What?
Yeah, they've been open for a while now. Don't you cover, the news?
Hey, I'm only human, okay?
Okay. Well, I can tell you that the Wild Hare and their amazing staff are thrilled to be open again for delicious meals and fun times. They are strictly following all the recommended safety guidelines, and they have the only covered outdoor patio in Canby, with lots of tables spaced 6 feet apart and umbrellas also spaced 6 feet apart, and fantastic ambiance. And hey, if you're still more comfortable with carryout, they can hook you up there too. Find their menu and other information online at thewildharesaloon.net or check them out in Canby and Oregon City. And anything to add, Frankie? Frankie? Oh, I guess he left. God, he must have been really hungry. Now Hear This Can Be is produced by me, Tyler Clausen. Our content director and star reporter is Tyler Frankie. And of course, our show is edited by Cameron Clausen. We also feature the vocal talents of Joyce Struby and James Walden. So a round of applause to them. The song that you're hearing right now is Can Be by singer-songwriter Olivia Harms, used with her permission. To find more work from her, you can visit her website olivia13.com.
Now Hear This Can Be is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
The production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
I just moved it.
I didn't even ask for it, though.